Alright, what is poppin', people? We're here with my week 3 Cap Snake games. Now, it wasn't enough for the people at home to only get one game of me a week. And so I got put in best of 3 this week, and I'm playing against good friend, question mark? I don't know. Oh shit, I meant to switch sides. And then reset. There we go. But, played a best of 3. And it's time to go over. So, first game, I brought some great sand. Shoutouts Layson for the team. And we're up against a pretty just standard balance build. Now, when I looked at Velvet's team, really the only mon that worried me was the Nidoking, and even then, there wasn't much worry. I knew my Dracozolt went absolutely in this game. Like, it's actually ridiculous how hard it goes in. The only thing that really stops it from bolt beaking down Velvet's team is the Nidoking, and that just gets earthquaked. So, we're gonna play. I'm gonna lead with my Tyranitar here, because getting up sand early is super good. I know I can rock up versus probably most of what I thought would lead. It was really gonna be Clef or Lottle in my mind. Velvet's gonna go Tomahawk, and I am going to immediately Dracozolt. Now, this Pokemon is about to decimate Velvet's team. She goes Astrolotl. Yeah, that's not a switch-in. Nice 61. That's just not a check. She's gonna go Nidoking here. Now, I knew this play was coming here, but I still Bolt-Beaked, because I didn't want Velvet trying to pivot between the, Flying Resist, or the Ground Immunity, and then, like, just Bolt-Beak, quote-unquote, switch-ins. Like, Clef can take one, Lotto we saw takes one, Nidoking obviously immune. So I just make the most linear play I can. I just Bolt Beak, and then here I do go for the Earthquake, catch the Nidoking, catch him with his trousers down. And then Velvet goes out to Clef. Now I do Calc. I know that I do not KO. I do about 70 or so, so I'm going to switch out here. Go into my Pecs. I'm going to try to set a T-Spike here. I'm going to get full Parrot though. It's kind of annoying, but it doesn't really matter. I can just go for another. And then Velvet goes to her Slowking. Very free knockoff. And this is obviously helpful because now the King's not getting all of the regenerator health that it normally would have. The Slowking is also being forced to take toxic damage, which is very helpful. Just helps my Excadrill potentially win late. I'm gonna go for the Poison Jab here. Yeah, this is... Clefable's scary. And then she goes Tomahawk here. Now, I know this is gonna Rapid Spin. I'm just gonna go Moltres here because I want to be able to defog. And actually get the Flame Body here. That's not a huge deal, but it's helpful. Now, I know Astrolottl's going to come out here. I could have Scorching Sands, but it would have done very little, and this would end up just getting back its health later anyway with Regenerator. So I just go right back out to my Tyranitar. It's a very easy switch-in, and I can get my rocks right back up. Keep the pressure on the Slowking, keep it on the Tomahawk, even get some chip on the Urshifu. And I go out to my Excadrill, because if you look at Velvet's team, and as we see here, this is not a Tomahawk capable of beating an Excadrill. It is too weakened. And Excadrill's just going to Sword Stance up. And yeah, this is kind of cursed. I could KO that with the Iron Head. The Urshifu comes out. Now obviously I'm going to switch. I've got a full health Tomahawk. I don't have a reason to keep that in there. As you see at this point in the game, Driller is just deadly. I know that Clefable here is going to come back out, so I just doubled the Moltres. It's a free opportunity just for me to defog. I don't really care if I get parried, knocked, what have you. Because again, we get Excadrill right back in. This is a free turn to spin as well. So spin to the King. Now actually Calc the Earthquake, I didn't know what spread Velvet had. From the Calcs, this wasn't just fully Fizdef Slowking. There was a fair bit of Spidef on it. I believe Rapid Spin normally does like 11 to 14, and I hit him with a 19. So I didn't know if my Earthquake range, where that was like sitting at. So I just make the play to set my sand back up with T-Tar. I know the King's gonna likely like Future Sight or Port. They go out to their Urshifu. I pivot back out to a check. I actually went Toxapex here instead of my Tomahawk. Talking up here, I guess, versus the Urshifu. Because I wanted to get my my eject button activated, so I could just get my Dracozolt back out and then pretty much win the game from there. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed that. They go into Slowking. I think they're just trying to get health back here. Lottle comes out, and we're going to make the same sequence every turn. She goes for the Fire Lash because, I don't know. I actually don't know why they lashed there. I think it was probably just to get chip on the Tomahawk, though. That makes sense. Also, denying Excadrill is always good. She hits a spike there. We just trade hazards. And Clefable's going to come back out here. Now, I go Tomahawk, mainly expecting their Urshifu to come out here. This isn't a horrible situation, though, because every time this happens, I get my Excadrill in. And we know Fire Lash will come out. She's not going to risk giving Drill any turns because it might just win the game from there. So we go back out to T-Tar to check, and right here, because Astrolotl very seldom runs Dragon Claw, I guess I should talk about Astrolotl. It's essentially Utility Incarnate, Fire Dragon type with Regenerator, and a whole bunch of moves. Spikes, Knockoff, Wish, Thunder Wave, Healing Wish. Can kind of stall break with Fire Lash. It's got it all going on. And actually revealed they're a Wish variant. The only problem is that means you gave Dracozolt a turn in. And I get a crit here. Now, this crit's very impactful. This was not going to faint regardless. This was not going to faint otherwise. And so being able to just one-pop the Clef kind of gives me game at this point. It was really the only thing stopping my Dracozolt from coming in versus the Slowking and just picking one. We are going to make, again, the Tomahawk play. Lotto comes back out. I double into Dracozolt. I don't really know why I did that. Actually, I do. I predicted the Slowking to come out versus my Tomahawk, and I'm trying to get it in. But, as well at this point, since we got rid of the Tomahawk earlier, Drill is a Pokemon that I have on my team. We go for a Rock Blast here, just fishing for chip. This also puts the Slowking in range, obviously, of my Excadrill. And as we see, the hazard damage, the residual, been chipping away so well, and I wouldn't be able to do that against King without getting rid of its boots. And obviously, Urshifu, just eventually you're taking too much damage. Go Moltres here, I actually live a Wicked Blow, which surprised me a lot. I didn't think Moltres could tank that. I'm pretty sure that means this was Scarf, and looking at Velvet's team, it kind of has to be Scarf Shifu, otherwise, like, what's your Spectre counterplay? You know, if your fastest mod otherwise could be like a Lottle, you're kind of getting run down by every fast threat in the tier. And at this point, I just go Excadrill and I click 2 Earthquakes. Everything has been weakened down sufficiently. Boom. So that was game 1. I'm going to pause it real quick and we're going to get on to game 2. Alright, we're back with game 2 now. Now, when I got into this game, I immediately said to myself, why did I not just bring back Sand? Because comparable to last game, it would have had a pretty good matchup. Now, there's this Demon Zapdos here. Drill would have been kind of worthless. But, like, come on. You can't tell me that I wouldn't have been able to just blow through some stuff with Dracozolt. Anyhow. You can kind of tell from my voice, I think, how this game goes. So, Velvet leads Slowking, I lead Tran. I know Future Sight's coming out, so I just gonna set rocks. And then I'm a taunt, because I know Teleport's coming out. You're not gonna Scald. You're gonna predict me to switch. So, we're gonna prevent that. Now, I make a horrible play here. I stay in, because I think Scald's gonna do a lot less. It does 40. And I take the Future Sight. This was a very bad play. What I should have just gone, or done, is just gone Latios, because I'm Bruised. I could have even gone Clef, because, you know, I'm not going to take the hit well, but I can still heal back up. But here we're going to go Krillawatt, knowing I can take the Scald. If they burn me, it doesn't matter, because I'm Magic Guard. And I Volt Switch here. I do very little. And when I saw that, I was made very sad very quickly. They poured out, though. Go Clef versus the Lando. I do get my Tran back in. They revealed me Trick. And yeah, this game just kind of keeps going downhill. Their Clef sets rocks, steals my Heatran's lefties. The Lottle gets a free switch in here. Now I'm actually going to knock here because I want to be able to pressure the Lottle with my rocks. I also just let them knock me. I get at least a little helmet chip. I'm going to wish back up again because I want Tran back up. And honestly, I'm also kind of just hoping that they go for a knock again. It doesn't happen though. I get T-waved. And of course, they can always go into Slowking very safely. I'm going to go Landers here. Now I'm going to make a very cash play. I'm going to U-turn for 54. And I'm just going to continue to not be able to generate any momentum this game. And I make a really bad play here too. Kilowatt is a very interesting mon. It's got a huge base HP stat, but its speed's not the best. Its 105 isn't bad, but it puts me below Astrolotl, which sits at, I think that's 115. And I let myself get knocked. And a Kilowatt without a Life Orb, this mon has base like 80 special attack. It does not hit hard. Imagine Nidoqueen without Sheer Force or Life Orb. That's pretty much where you're at. And so Kilowatt now is kind of worthless. Now I do make a good play here. I do predict the Zapdos. Get it with the mid-ground Stone Edge play. I do go for Stone Edge a second time as well because I felt the Melmetal was really obvious. So I wasn't sure if she'd dedicate to the play. Maybe, you know, there's an aggressive stay in and Volt Switch. Although, admittedly, leaving your Zapdos at that low an amount of health would have been kind of sus. I'm going to go Heatran here. I'm going to just die immediately. I'm assuming they're predicting Kilowatt or even trying to come in. I got to my Urshifu. This mon is worthless because it can't touch the Clef. And they go Zapdos. I'm going to knock the boots. I'm just trying to figure out throughout this whole game what minor ways I could make some momentum. And I figure knocking boots is a way to do that. Now I'm a Wish here. This is an okay play from me. I do get the Lando back up, dodge the Earthquake. The only problem is that this is a lefty's Melmetal with Protect. And so Lando's never going to get a chance to Fog versus it. She's got her Ground Immune alive. She could obviously stay in on a U-turn. And if I defog, well, I'm going to get double Iron Batch. So I go Clef. I don't know why I made this play. I was predicting Ice Punch. Yeah, it somehow does get worse. Now I go out to Urshifu here. I go for CC. I do a clean 27. I get staticked. So I'm going to go Lando here. I'm thinking there's a Roost coming. There's not. There's a Hurricane. Yes, it does indeed get worse. The Urshifu comes out, I'm going to Earthquake. For some reason I stay in, even though I know Sucker Punch is coming. I'm going to go Latios here, because honestly at this point, my thoughts are that the only way I can win is if this is CB Shifu. I Calm Mind up a shit ton with my Latios. Get a crit versus Melmetal. And then, like, outplay every sucker. Unfortunately for me, this ends up being Black Glasses or Shifu. And so, yeah, as you see, okay, lol. This was a tough game. This was admittedly a tough game. We're going to go to hopefully greener pastures now in Game 3, so I'll pause this real quick and I'll see y'all there. Now, you may be looking at the screen and wondering, one of these mons is not like the other. Yeah, there's a Pikachu. Now, when I saw this Pikachu, I was actually somewhat worried. I mean, I look at my team and I'm like, it's not that big a threat. You know, I'm thinking Pikachu's gonna have moves like Surf, Knock Off, maybe Fake Out even to waste Sand turns. You know, maybe Velvet's thinking I bring the same Game 1 team, which I did. Because it's good. Again, shoutouts to the man Layson. But, this little demon thing, because it, you know, if I go Drill on the electric move, it does learn moves like Brick Break and Surf, so I'm worried there. Dracozolt, it's like, do I want to lose my Life Orb? Well, not particularly. Tar, I mean, it could probably take hits, but like, what if I'm Iron-tailed, Brick Breaked, Surfed? The game plan, though, here is simple to last one, though, right? Dracozolt doesn't really have good checks on Velvet's team. And Excadrill, yet again, has an incredible matchup. And there's going to be something that you see in this game. It gives it an even better matchup, and I would argue is maybe part... I'm willing to put part of the reason I won entirely on this one little bit. This minor detail. I'll let you know there. Anyhow, I lead Tar again this game. I figured pretty low drawback. I set up my weather. And I'm going to go Pex versus the Shifu. Now, you're about to see why I was very worried about this Pikachu. Yeah. So, when it set up a sub, when I saw the Pikachu at preview, I'm like, there's something up. And when it set up a sub, there's something up. So I The immaculate man like I am, I go for Rock Blast. Rip Tar. Yeah, no. Imagine if I got 3 hits even. But no. No. I knew something was wrong. I didn't realize that it went this deep. And yeah, I know the Tomahawk's coming out here, so I go for a free Ice Beam. I go for Aura Sphere, Moltres, yum yum yum. Eating that up. And this is a free Flamethrower. I could have Scorching Sands. I knew Lottle was coming out. I could have switched. Again, I'm just like, what if she stays it in Hurricanes? You know, I didn't want to risk Moltres just, you know, getting blasted there. Now, the Lottle comes out. I expect a Spike or a Knock. It ends up being Knock. We at least get some Helmet Chips, so that's good. And right here is like, I fire off a Hurricane, if I'm remembering correctly. I do miss, but Melmetal isn't going to take much of that anyway. And now we're going to go Pex, and I look like an incredibly smart individual that it predicted Toxic. If I'm being honest here, I was just kind of trying to test out a mechanic. How does double Iron Bash function with the eject button? I wanted to see, would the Melmetal be forced out after the first hit? Or not the Melmetal, would I be forced out after the first hit? Or would the Melmetal get to use the second one? Let me rephrase that. I was wondering if after I get forced out, would the second hit still hit the switch in? Anyhow, though, I block a Toxic. I'm going to set up a T-Spike here. Oh no, I'm a Knock. Because I know that they're probably switching. We actually see that this is Trick Scarf again. I do take this opportunity to T-Spike, and I know a Trick's coming here, so I just Knock immediately. Or no, I Poison Jab, my bad. Goodbye, Clef. Unfortunately, the Tomahawk comes in. This does give me my Moltres, so I do get to go for a Defog or a Flamethrower or what have you. But it's, you know, still kind of annoying. And obviously, I don't want my Moltres losing its boots. So we're going to go out to T-Tar here. I do get knocked. I lose my Smooth Rock. It's fine. We saw how that went first game. Not the biggest deal, but a minor nuisance. And this is a free rock opportunity. Now, again, I know I have to outplay this Melmetal. I do here. I do get the Moltres in as it goes for Earthquake. And I'm a Scorching Sands because I'm finally willing to try to predict the, you know, make a prediction to Lottle. I don't get it, but I do get a Toxic Dodge. This is not the most impactful thing that happens this game, but it's helpful. Now, I choke here and I Flamethrower. I knew they were protecting, but I didn't Roost for some reason. And even here, I don't think I Roost. I think I just attack again. Oh no, I do Roost. Thank God. The Tomahawk comes out. I know a Spin's coming, so I'm going to go Dracozolt because I finally get a free switch into Dracozolt. And obviously, I'm going to attack. And I'm going to predict nothing. I'm just going to Bolt Beak. I thought about Earthquaking here. I thought maybe there's a chance that the Pikachu comes out. If I had Earthquaked, I don't know if it would have KO'd the Lottle. But it may have been a good play. And actually Earthquake again, because I know the Lottle can't touch me. So it's free chip, and we get a huge hit on the Urshifu. Also, here's the truly big play right here. This is very helpful. I'm wrong. I'm so sorry. There's a Tomahawk versus Pikachu sequence that happens. Anyhow, we both switch. Metal in versus Pex isn't really a big deal. I just knock. I know I take an Earthquake. If she Toxics, it's not important. And getting rid of lefties on this is just something that I try to do very frequently this whole game. And unfortunately, my opponent is smart enough to know that Melmetal losing its lefties is very bad for her, because it means that Tomahawk gets to just keep Hurricaning. If I ever get Rocks up, it means that that's going to keep taking Rocks damage. It means that if it ever is trying to switch into a Knock at some other point, or if it's trying to Earthquake spam versus my Pex, then that's bad. So I don't ever really get a chance to until very late in the game. Anyhow, we finally get past this dumb sequence of Toxapex Clefable. You know, the standard. And again, we're going to get the standard sequence of Moltres coming in versus the Tomahawk. If I'm being honest, there's not a lot that happens this game until the end. You're going to see a lot of just me trying to get a T-Spike up, her trying to get Rocks up and keep my T-Spike off, and me going out to the Moltres. Right here, I win the 50-50 and actually get rid of the helmet. That's really good for later on in the game. You'll see why. And again, we're going to just see this exchange. Ah, this was the play. I know the Pikachu's coming out, and so I just Flamethrower it. Get rid of it there and then. Now, I want to stay in and defog. Unfortunately, I didn't want to lose my boots. So I switched to Tar. I know I can get Rocks up here. And any chip on like Tomahawk and Shifu is good chip. And here's where we finally get Toxic, which is why I said that earlier Mist doesn't really matter. Moltres probably would have been around the same amount of health. I know I can pivot into an Earthquake here, so I go out to my Drill. Now, this is where we start seeing why Drill is so good this game. You're going to notice something about this thing's ability. And it comes more into play later. But this is not a, what's it called? Intimidate Tomahawk. This is Prankster. Not even Prankster Haze, though. It's just Prankster with Roost. Now, this ends up being huge because it means that Drill doesn't end up firing off weaker Iron Heads when this comes in. It means that this can't maybe even try to intimidate Shuffle on Dracozolt on turns it switches into an Earthquake. And since we got rid of this thing's helmet, Drill's got a lot more staying power. Now, I make a very, very aggressive play right here. Incredibly aggressive. I stay in knowing I live in a Aura Sphere. Now, I don't need health on this Mon. It doesn't really matter. But this play right here gives me so much leeway. And it's because I noticed that this was not Intimidate that I made this play. Since this Tomahawk has Prankster, I don't have to worry about Velvet trying to shuffle between the Melmetal and Tomahawk on my Earthquakes and Iron Heads. And so I could just spam Iron Head. And as you see, a very big difference in damage rolls versus this. But we get to get rid of the Lottle here. We know our Sheaf is coming out. I could have Sword Stanced here because I knew a Sucker Punch was coming, but I don't need to. I have a full health Tomahawk. And again, we're going to try to fire off some chip. I'm lying. I go for Yawn. Just because I know the Melmetal's coming out, because Velvet was very keen on bringing in Melmetal versus my Tomahawk repeatedly. And we finally do see the Scout, though, from Velvet here. I make a horrible play, potentially, staying into Hurricane. I don't get punished for it, fortunately, but that could have been really rough. And right here, I honestly was kind of confused by Velvet here, but it makes a lot more sense in hindsight. I thought she'd maybe trick away my boots, but instead she just decides, no, I'm going to try to force rocks. Now, me letting Moltres get that low is bad, primarily because we noticed Tomahawk and Hurricane the shit out of my Moltres. It's a very good thing that that never ends up mattering. And right here, again, you're just going to see me fishing for poisons. I knew that Drill had a very legitimate chance at endgaming here, but that getting a poison to Tomahawk was going to be my best way of keeping it low and incapable of maybe answering even an unboosted Excadrill. We finally get the poison here. This is huge for me. And it also means that those turns where it's trying to sit in front of my Pex and just Hurricane spam, they're being wasted because you have to roost. You can't just let me get you low. Anyhow, we go Tar, or Shifu comes out to counter Tar. I go into Tomahawk. Clef comes out to counter that. It's very, very unfortunate. And so we're going to again get the fabled Clef versus Toxapex sequence, where I'm just going to fire off a Poison Jab or set T-Spikes every time that these two are in front of each other. There's just very little incentive for me to do otherwise. I get Zolt in here. Now, I thought about Bolt Beaking just for chip. Then I thought to myself, there's no reason to do that, because Zolt is just very, very scary. And I actually do see why that this is Prankster now. It's entirely so that Zolt can't Bolt be good. You'll see when that matters later. And now we got this Melmetal again. We finally get the knock. It isn't that impactful. This is This is a very impactful turn here, though. We got a huge hit on the Melmetal. And that means that it can't take a hit from Dracozolt if it needs to in, like, crunch time. And it also means that we get Zolt out for free here. And that something's getting KO'd by a Bolt Beak. And when I saw that it was the Urshifu, I knew I had won. Because at this point, realistically, how does Velvet break my team? The Melmetal is too low. It's not ever getting lefties. Also, you see here now why the change to Prankster is actually kind of good. But the Melmetal's too low. And if Drill ever gets a chance to set up, it wins. And what you're seeing me do here is try to enable that. I know that as long as I keep attacking this, that I will be able to keep it low to where she's forced to roost. And we actually see 10 at 1. So I go Drill here. And these next few turns are very, very high stakes. I know roost is coming, so I spin. I need the speed boost. And now for the next couple turns, I'm always thinking, I'm like, do I Iron Head? Do I spin? Or do I SD, I mean. Because if I mispredict, I have lost the game. Fortunately, I'm going to get the player here correct. I am going to SD up on the roost. And Excadrill is going to pick the last 3 Pokemon. Also, I think this is a damage roll right here. Maybe. It might have just been barely in it. But I win that one 50-50. And Excadrill is able to do it. And I end up avoiding a Pikachuing. And I win the best of 3. I'm now 3-0 in Cap Snake. And we're trying to keep this shit up, lads. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's obviously not the kind of content that I normally do. But I still think it's kind of fun to go over these different metagames that I don't play as frequently. And just kind of lay out how I'm thinking in them. And also Cap's kind of fun, so showcasing it's never a bad thing. Thank you all for watching. I hope you're enjoying your day, your morning, your evening, your Tuesday, your Thanksgiving. I don't know when you're watching this, but whenever you are, I hope you're having fun and living life to the fullest. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.